My 20 years as a lupus patient has allowed me to grow in ways I never could have imagined. While I don't wish lupus on anyone, it's really been my saving grace. Saving grace because it's forced me to evolve and become a better human being. It's opened my eyes to the limits of the conventional medical system and forced me to dig deeper into creating a meaningful life as a lupus rebel. I've searched for answers thriving as a lupus patient, and rather than arriving at a destination, I continue to realize that healing is really a journey. If you believe you can, or if you believe you can't, you're both right. From the time we're diagnosed, we're taught that lupus is an incurable disease. It mimics so many different diseases that even our doctors are baffled at our symptoms. When you're first diagnosed, lupus may make you super sick or just mildly sick. Lupus affects us all differently because we're all unique in our genetic makeup, lifestyle, stress levels, resources, etc. My 20 years as a clinician taught me that the most important thing in beating this disease is the mindset of the patient. If they are committed to getting better and healing, they usually do. This is because when you think you can, then you summon up the feelings of determination and courage to take action to produce the result you want. You can't help but to be healthier because of lupus. I can honestly say that I'm much more healthier today than I was 20 years ago because I decided to own my thoughts by thinking in a way that will produce positive results. Doctors treat disease. Understand that our rheumatologists and various physicians that we get shuffled to are looking to treat your disease. The only context, or their only context, is really pathology and medications for that pathology. Understanding their role will help you to navigate the healthcare system. They don't believe in lifestyle medicine. They believe you're sick and they want to treat you as their patient because to them you will always be a patient. Healing, though, is an inside job. You have lupus. So what are you going to do about it? Will you give your power away by believing it's an incurable disease and doing exactly what you're expected to do by your doctors? Take those meds on time, return for checkups, and depend on your doctors for the next steps? I refused to take a passive role and decided that I'd take an active role in doing everything that I could to affect a change in the course of my disease. I changed the way I ate, the way I exercised, managed my stress, and took self-care seriously. Only then did my body become my own to take care of. Toughen your mind, body, and spirit. You essentially need to become stronger than lupus. It requires discipline, grit, and commitment to shift your body from sickness to health. I had to study myself to understand that my operating system, the beliefs that I had, I tended to have a self-loathing tendency, and lupus initially made it worse by making me feel broken. All my thoughts about lupus needed to be cleaned, but before I did that, I had to learn that all my beliefs were programmed from a very young age. I needed to challenge my beliefs and change my thoughts to help me shift my thinking about lupus. I felt empowered, and only then was I able to follow through with learning yoga, practicing meditation, and eating healthy. I want to share something I learned from Brooke Castillo. It's called the self-healing model. She calls it the self-coaching model, but I call it the self-healing model. We all have a model by which we live our lives. Most of us live our lives habitually, never questioning the way we think and behave. While we have no way to control our circumstances, we absolutely have the power to change what we think about our circumstances, which influences how we feel, which then leads to the action we take to create the results. So lupus diagnosis is a circumstance. It's neither good or bad. It just is. While we can't control the fact that we were diagnosed, we do have control and power over the way we think about the diagnoses. So see how this plays out? So the circumstance is that you have lupus. Your thoughts around that might be that it's an incurable disease, and the feelings that summons may make you feel like you're broken and defeated. And then because of those feelings, you take no action by staying in bed. And the results that you create is to remain a lupus patient who's compliant by medical standards. This situation can play out for you, or you can change your thoughts to create a different result. So the circumstance is the same. You have lupus. And the thoughts you might create might be, I can heal from lupus, and I'm going to do everything I can to help myself get healthy. And then when you think that way, you might have feelings of determination. And the actions you take from a place of determination is to read everything you can to eat better, exercise, manage stress, and live a healthy life. And the result you create from that is becoming a thriving lupus patient. Next is that what you eat does matter. You probably know the old saying, you are what you eat. But I'd like you to change that to you are what you digest. What does this mean? Lupus patients all have an issue with assimilation and absorption of all foods due to leaky gut. So we don't absorb what we need. Rather, we tend to absorb toxins and bacteria, which circulate in our bodies, preventing nourishing vitamins and minerals from being absorbed. We become chronically malnourished while the bad guys like bacteria, yeast, and toxins flourish within. We need to fix this. The answer isn't to indulge in the foods that we have always eaten. It's time to eat or clean house and help our bodies detoxify. I like using the car analogy with my patients. So imagine you have a new luxury car like a new BMW, which only takes high octane gas. But because you didn't know better, you gave it diesel fuel. Over time, you notice that the car is not functioning properly, makes noise, and it's slow to run. So you decide to change the fuel that you put into the diesel to high octane. Even though you made this change, the car still runs slow because you don't clean out all the junk and gunk that's accumulated in the oil, filter, tank, etc. Healthy eating means figuring out what foods are good for you. What works for you may not be a solution for me because we're different. As a rule of thumb, in a perfect world, we place our patients on a comprehensive detox protocol that I call alkaline detox protocol to start clean slate and get rid of all the junk that's built up. Then we'll figure out what your body needs. You'll first learn to eliminate all toxic, inflammatory foods from your diet, and then add back only the foods that you know work for you. Learn to feel your feelings. Most of us don't know how to feel. We can't even name our feelings, which is the first step in observing how and what we feel. When we do feel it's negative, we all try hard, so hard, to try to repress and avoid these feelings at all costs. These undigested feelings can reside in our bodies for so long, creating a tendency within us to identify with such negative feelings in our efforts to avoid them. These feelings become our driving force for all that we do subconsciously. Many lupus patients have traumatic pasts that we have not learned to let go of. We can only evolve through feeling our emotions when we create space for ourselves to feel both negative and positive feelings, because life throws both. The problem is that when we avoid feeling our feelings, they become the very force that drives all our behavior. So it's worth a look, or it's worth your time to become aware of this so we can change those negative thoughts which create negative feelings. And then the second thing is to metabolize those feelings. Coming back to our self-healing model, circumstances are neutral events in life we have no control over. It's our thoughts about such circumstances that create our feeling, which then promotes action toward or action against creating the result that we want. Once we recognize that the most important thing is to feel our feelings and create space for them, is when we can be liberated from our crazy thoughts and realize we have the power to create exactly what and how we want to experience our lives. Evolve to be the best version of you. Once you learn the self-healing model and become empowered to create your outcome or results, you can recognize how your limited beliefs created thoughts that kept you from moving forward or toward what you want. We all have power to create exactly what our future looks like, including healing from lupus. You just haven't tapped into your own power. Once you tap into this power, you can show up as your best self, making a contribution in this world to make it better than the way you found it. Last thing is that self-love is non-negotiable. The destination towards self-love, or the destination is always towards self-love. You can only give love when you love yourself. Without self-love, you will drive or sabotage yourself until you are sick. Think back and observe your thought patterns. Make sure that you are putting yourself first and honoring yourself through these hard times with lupus. Being human is a common experience we all share, and as lupus patients, we have another layer of understanding that connects us in ways nobody else can understand unless you live with this unique condition. I see all of you, I understand you, and want to create space for those of you who want to join my tribe where we can connect to lift each other up and begin the healing journey together with the commitment to heal no matter what. Are you in? Click below to join me on the webinar where I share 3 secrets on how to live successfully with lupus. So we have lupus. Now what? Thank you so much for tuning in. As always, please subscribe to our newsletter on lupusrebel.com, our YouTube channel, Dr. Connie Jian, and our podcast, Health Made Easy on iTunes. I would love it if you can give us a review on iTunes as well. Also, follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Pinterest at Lupus Rebel. See you guys next time.